What's going on YouTube? Life here yet again, and this video is not going to have an intro or an outro or any background music in the back. It may have gameplay in the back, just as filler and whatnot, but the topic at hand is not going to have anything to do with video games at all. And for those of you who are new to this channel or just now seeing this video as the first video you're seeing from my channel, I do video game videos, information videos, tech videos, and whatnot. But this one right here is going to be based off of something that is very, very personal to me and something that affects me because I have it. Now, some of you already know that have been rocking with me for the past couple of years on YouTube. You guys know, or my social media sites or whatever, you know that I was diagnosed at 16 with Marfan syndrome. I'm 23 now, mind you. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm basically making this video because one, I feel like I should have a long time ago, and I actually did a long time ago, but I didn't touch on how serious it is to have something like this. I have what is known as Marfan syndrome. Now, you may or may not have heard of this. It is a rare genetic disorder that consists of not having a certain protein developing certain tissues right and whatnot in your body. And this protein is called fibrillin 1, and it affects a lot of parts in your body. And I'm still learning about it. Mind you, I was diagnosed at 16, I'm 23, and I'm still learning about this thing right here and the severity of it. But this genetic mutation pretty much basically can cause you to have overgrowing skin, overgrowing bones, and it can affect a lot of very serious organs in your body. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Now, a lot of you may or may not have heard the story of Isaiah Austin, who was diagnosed in 2014 with Marfan syndrome. He was an NBA prospect from Baylor, and before the NBA draft, he was diagnosed with this, and it pretty much put him out of the runnings of being able to play basketball in the NBA. And that story really affects me because the scenario with me is somewhat similar. Now, I wasn't no NBA prospect or nothing like that, but I played basketball, and I'm going to get into the story on how I was diagnosed with this in the first place and all the health complications that came to be from it. But if you haven't heard the Isaiah Austin story, then it's pretty much right here. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. It's a very, very good story about pretty much a trial and triumph and whatnot, and how he overcame and made the best of his situation. Because it sucks to have your dream put on the back burner because of a health issue, and this is a real serious one. So we're gonna get into that right now. Basically, how I was diagnosed was when I was around 16 years old, and around my freshman year of high school. I was either 15 or 16. And I was playing recreational basketball, and what ended up happening, I'm a real physical player. I played point, so you have to be physical. You're the smallest guy on the court. So I played point. I was driving the lane for a layup, and I somehow, now mind you, this was a pickup game. I landed on straight concrete. Mind you, I went up and I landed directly on my back. It was so weird the way I felt, but I landed on my back. And it hurt so bad to the point where I felt I needed to get an x-ray. So I went to the doctor. They gave me an x-ray and whatnot. And it turns out that I had a little bruise, but it was really minor, something that would heal over time. Put some ice on it, and it's all good. But what really shocked me is what showed up during that same x-ray. It turns out that I was developing a curve in my spine, an S curve, and it was getting really critical and whatnot. I never really paid attention to it because, I carried a lot of books around in school and whatnot, like a load of books. They didn't have no lockers in the high school I went to. You really had to carry all your shit around. And I thought maybe that would have been the cause of this, why my back was like kind of weird and whatnot. But it turned out that I had scoliosis. And when I was told that, my mother, I guess she had heard or knew somewhat about scoliosis and whatnot, and she knew some good doctors up in Madera, California, which was about a good, I don't know, probably 50 miles from where I was living at that point. So we went up there to the Children's Hospital in Madera, and man, these were some great ass doctors. And I'm sorry if I sound a little dry because I just woke up. It's like 5 a.m. in the morning right now. But these were some excellent doctors. I basically got lined up with a specialist who specializes in spine and all that stuff and bones and whatnot. And he diagnosed me, and it was confirmed that I had scoliosis. So what ended up happening is they did another X-ray, and from his look of it, he said, "Man, this is far from being able to be repaired from a back brace. You're you're at an ultimatum. You're either gonna live with this, and it could end up making you the Hunchback of Notre Dame, or you can get surgery." And I was like, "Surgery? What?" Surgery. And they would basically put two titanium rods against my spine and fuse it against my spine, and basically the bone of my spine would grow over the titanium. So I ended up getting that surgery, and today, as of today, I'm living with two titanium rods against my spine. And the surgery I had was so crucial, I guess, as far as spinal surgery. It's pretty much my damn near my entire spine is lined with that titanium. Usually, sometimes it'll be like if you have the curve just at the top part, it'll just cover the top part. But mine was so long, it affected the top and bottom of my back. So it goes all the way down from like just right below my shoulder to just where the like, I can't explain it really, right underneath the rib cage, I'd say, like past that just a little bit. And it's crazy, man. Going through that was such a weird phase in my life, because at the same time I was concerned, but I was more concerned for the fact that I couldn't play sports anymore. I couldn't do what I once did anymore. So I never really bothered to really care about the actual health side of it. But anyway, I went through with that surgery, and man, I tilt my hats to all those doctors and nurses at the Children's Hospital in Madeira. They are just excellent. I went out of that surgery absolutely flawlessly. It just went perfect. No blood clots later, none of that. In fact, after I had got out of the hospital for that surgery, I never once took a painkiller, ever, period, to this day. And this happened when I was 16 years old. Now I'm 23 now. I've never had any back complications, and it's just been fucking awesome from that perspective, from that standpoint and whatnot. But before I even had that surgery, the same doctor that performed it on me basically wanted to find out what exactly caused this. Was it those books I was carrying around? Was it just, another person with scoliosis, or was it something else? So he sent me to a bone specialist in that hospital that basically ended up diagnosing me with Marfan syndrome. So after that doctor diagnosed me with Marfan syndrome, I was like, okay, well, now we know it caused my scoliosis and whatnot. It didn't really dawn on me how serious it was. Now my mom, she went and did super heavy research after the fact of that, because this is a rare disorder. Nobody had heard about it before I was diagnosed with it in my family. Nobody. Literally no one had heard about this. And to this day, a lot of people still don't know about it in my family. But yeah, I was diagnosed with Marfan syndrome. And the story is crazy because it really didn't catch on to how serious that was until I became an adult, until I was in my adult years. I started realizing, like, damn, man, I could have died or something. Like, I could have died because Marfan, its problem is that with its tissue connections and whatnot, with how it affects connective tissue, these are things that are all over your body, your organs, your limbs and all that, everything, your eyesight, all of that can be affected. And the most important things are your organs, basically. This tissue can affect your aorta, which is critical. If the aorta even cuts at all, splits at all, that could be a life or death situation, and it could be very immediate. You know what I'm saying? It can be like no time to survive, or no chance of survival if it's already happening. And that's why I'm stressing in this video the importance of this and how huge it is to get yourself checked out on Marfan syndrome, because I'm lucky I caught it at an early age, and now I'm working with doctors who are constantly monitoring me every now and then, every say once a year or so, to see where my body is at, my organs, my aorta. And it's crazy because it really, really, really didn't dawn on me how severe and serious this was until actually recently, as of February of this year. I was taking it serious, but now I'm like, this is like some super serious stuff going on right now. It was when I went to the hospital because I felt a pulse in my stomach, and I had never felt that before. It was weird. It was like a heartbeat in my stomach, and that's where your aorta travels through. It's in your abdomen. It's past your abdomen, basically. my abdomen is where I was feeling it, because the stomach is like, people say the stomach is right here where the belly is, but the stomach is really placed in its own little spot. But the abdomen, I was having like a pulse, and it was absolutely crazy. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that. I learned after the fact that skinny guys can have a pulse in their stomach, and I'm skinny, so. But I never had that before, so I was scared. So I told him, like, there's like this weird pulse going on in my stomach. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my aorta or whatever. As soon as the lady heard aorta, bam, they rushed me to the back, man. I was filling out the little what's names. And mind you, this emergency room was absolutely full. I was filling out the little form, the hospital form that they make you fill out and whatnot. And she said, man, hand that off to your mom. Come to the back right now. They put me on the EKG immediately. Like 3 nurses were surrounding me, like, oh my God. And they were looking at my stomach pulsing. I'm like, oh my God. And it was weird. It was on some like aliens type shit. But my stomach was pulsing. And turns out that it ended up being anxiety. But what happened in between me finding out what exactly it was crazy, because I didn't realize how severe these things are. And they rushed me to another room in the back, and I was surrounded by, like I say, like 4 nurses and 2 doctors asking me so many questions. Like, what is your pain right now? Do you feel any sharp pain going on? Well, like, how long have you been feeling this pain? Any other complications going on? You said you had Marfan syndrome, because I explained to the lady when I was on the EKG that I had Marfan syndrome, and she didn't know what it was. So they kept asking me that. You have Marfan syndrome? She even mispronounced it. What is it? Motrin syndrome. I was like, Marfan syndrome. And she basically ended up researching that right there. A nurse and some doctors did not know what this was. And that really mind boggled me, like, damn, man, this is really rare. I didn't realize it was this rare. I thought it was at least known by every doctor or anybody in the medical, anybody dealing with medical things and whatnot. But it turns out that this shit it's really that rare. And they did a full contrast of my body to see what was going on, if I had any blockage or if I had anything going on within my veins and my blood flow, the aorta, of course, and my organs and all that. So basically, it turned out that I didn't have anything severe. It just boiled down to anxiety and acid reflux. That's what it ended up being. But the whole moral of that story right there, and that thing that actually happened, was things that Marfan syndrome can cause are extremely severe. An aorta dissection or an aorta aneurysm can be a life or death situation, and that's like the most critical thing that can be caused by Marfan syndrome. And that is why I'm making this video, not just for that, but for the disorder period. If you feel that you have joints or whatever, or limbs and whatever that are weirdly long and whatnot, or something that, if anything concerns you, or if you've had any heart or respiratory problems that came out of the blue and whatnot, please, and I can't stress this enough, go check yourself out. Do some research. At least get yourself checked out by a specialist, a bone specialist, or whatever. And it pays to really go and research. Now, this is a great site. It's marfan.org and the Marfan Foundation, and they basically explain what it is, what is Marfan syndrome. They have articles for this. Excellent site. How rare it is, what are the signs and whatnot. Like my signs right here are long arms, legs, fingers, tall, thin body, curved spine, and flexible joints. I didn't have any of the other signs, but these are like the most common. They can be from like curved spine, chest sinks in, and that's another thing. I know a couple of people who have Marfan syndrome, and they were born with a caved-in chest that had to be corrected at birth, and that was caused by Marfan syndrome. And this Marfan syndrome can also cause respiratory problems, lung problems. Your lungs can collapse, asthma problems, and all that. Heart and blood vessels. This is like the most. That's why this is listed first, because this is like the most seriousness of it right here. Marital valve and enlarged aorta. And this is the thing with aortas. If it's stretched even the slightest bit to the point where it rips, that could be a life or death situation. And that is the big thing with Marfan syndrome and the things that it causes, especially heart and blood vessel problems and whatnot. If they're in the midst of happening, your chances of survival are very, very slim, especially an aorta aneurysm or dissection. It is extremely slim, because once that thing rips, there's no way to get to it in time to repair it. They say when you have an aorta dissection and it's actually happening and it's going on and whatnot, chances are you're going to be dead by the time before you even make it to the hospital, before you even make it to the phone to call the hospital. That's why it's important to get yourself checked out. Make sure you get all the specialists so they can keep up with you and see it coming before it happens. Because there are a lot of devices and medications and whatnot and things that specialize in these problems and whatnot that can prevent them from happening if it seems like things are getting too out of hand and whatnot. And please share this video, share these websites, these stories and whatnot with people who do have them so they can feel more comfort. You know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy. When you have a rare disorder, you feel isolated. That's how I felt when I actually started to understand the gist of all this. I felt isolated because I don't know anybody, personally who has this. So I'm stuck alone dealing with this thing and trying to, cope with it and dealing with the consequences that it gave me, like this spine issue I'm having right now. And luckily, man, everything is everything now. I'm like, if I walked up to you, you would never know that I had a spinal surgery or whatnot. That's how great those doctors were. So this is basically a video explaining and giving my story and putting more info out there for the people who either have it or feel that they may or may not have it, can go ahead and, check themselves out. Feel comfort in knowing that you're not alone. It's rare, but you aren't alone. And just know that, if you stay on top of your health and whatnot, and not even with just Marfan syndrome, but with anything, stay on top of your health and try to catch things before they can even occur, prevent things from happening, and you'll be all right. This was a disorder that in the 70s and 80s and whatnot, when you were diagnosed with Marfan syndrome, it was almost like you have a half life sentence, basically. A lot of people didn't make it past 40 because they didn't have the technology in order to deal with all the complications that this could cause. Luckily now they do have these the technology and stuff to basically give you a normal lifespan and whatnot. So this is basically me just giving you my story. These are the health issues that I'm dealing with right now. Luckily they aren't really affecting me in a way that just cripples me or nothing like that. In fact, I feel extremely healthy right now. I feel as good as I was before I had the surgery. Actually, I feel better than before I had the surgery, because my spine was curving and I was feeling them back problems. For some reason, I came out of that scoliosis surgery like with flying colors, because I know a lot of people who go into those type of surgeries end up having serious complications as like blood problems and whatnot, blood clots, and more pain, double surgeries and all that. I haven't had a problem since I left that hospital, and I've been checking up on my stuff, and everything is everything. And I'm happy to say that I'm blessed, man. I am seriously blessed, and I'm thankful for everyone who had a hand in diagnosing me and helping me with the surgery and the recovery. Thank you guys so much. This video is just basically to shed light on things that I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know. But anyway, this is iDocLife. Make sure you leave a comment down in the comment section below if you have any questions or anything relating to Marfan syndrome, scoliosis, or any of the problems that can occur while having this type of disorder. Please leave your thoughts down below and let me know, man, because I'm here for you if you need me. This is iDocLife, and I'm out. Peace.